And here is the Writer's Almanac for Wednesday. It's the 26th of June, 2019. It's the birthday of Walter Farley, born Syracuse, New York, 1916, who always wanted a horse when he was a boy, but his parents could not afford one. So he started writing stories about horses. And while he was a student at Columbia, he wrote a novel, The Black Stallion, story of a boy and a wild horse who survive a shipwreck and become friends on a deserted island. The book sold so well that Walter Farley went on to write 20 more novels about horses. And it's the birthday of Pearl S. Buck, born Hillsborough, West Virginia, 1892. Her parents were missionaries in China. She was raised there from the age of 3 months. She spoke Chinese first, said she did not consider herself a white person when she was a child, spent the afternoons with her beloved Chinese nurse, took her to visit friends where the child listened to women gossip. Pearl Buck married a missionary. They lived in northern China and then Nanking. In 1920, she gave birth to a daughter, Carol, who had a severe developmental disability. She would scream and cry for hours on end. By the winter of 1927, Buck was living in Shanghai. She had just finished the manuscript of her first novel, and the manuscript had been destroyed by looters. Her marriage was deteriorating. Her husband did not want to leave China. Pearl Buck knew that the only hope of giving her daughter long-term care was to go to the United States. She had to figure out a way to provide for her, so she returned to writing. She moved to America with her daughter. She published her first novel, East Wind, West Wind, in 1930, and started work on her second novel, which took her just 3 months. Pearl Buck was amazed when the second novel was chosen by the Book of the Month Club, and she got a check for $4,000, enough money to pay for several years of her daughter's schooling. The second novel was The Good Earth. It sold nearly 2 million copies in its first year, and Pearl Buck won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1938. 1974, on this date, the first Universal Product Code, the UPC bar code, was scanned at a supermarket. It was Marsh's supermarket, Troy, Ohio. They scanned a pack of Wrigley's Juicy Fruit gum. The barcode had been patented by Joseph Woodland and Bernard Silver in 1952, but there wasn't a scanner for it until 1973. IBM put out a digital cash register and checkout scanner, and the grocery industry, which had been working with IBM on the invention, began requiring its suppliers to start putting barcodes on their packaging. Here's a poem for today by George Bilgier entitled Weather. My father would lift me to the ceiling in his big hands and ask, "How's the weather up there?" And it was good, the weather of being in his hands, his breath of scotch and cigarettes, his face smiling from the world below. "Oh, Daddy," was the lullaby I sang back down to him as he stood on earth, my great white-shirted father, home from work, his gold wristwatch and wedding band gleaming as he held me above him for as long as he could before his strength failed down there in the world I find myself standing in tonight, my little boy, looking down from his flight below the ceiling, cradled in my hands, his eyes wide and already staring into the distance beyond the man, asking him again and again, "How's the weather up there?" A poem entitled Weather by George Bilgier from Imperial, published by University of Pittsburgh Press and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.